AITA for insisting my best friend be at my wedding even though my fiancée doesn't want him there. The first time I saw the look in her eyes, I knew something was wrong. We were sitting across from each other at the kitchen table, wedding invitations scattered like confetti between us, and her hands were trembling slightly as she held one envelope. It was the one with his name on it. "Do we really have to invite him?" she asked softly, but with a sharp edge beneath her words. Her question hit me harder than I expected. Ethan wasn't just a friend. He was my brother in everything but blood. We'd grown up together, survived each other's darkest moments, and when I proposed to her, he was the first person I called. The idea of not having him at my wedding felt unthinkable, but the way she stared at me told me this wasn't a simple preference. This was a line she didn't want crossed. I tried to laugh it off at first. Of course Hayes coming. Hayes my best man. Her expression didn't change. That night, she slept on the far edge of the bed, her back turned to me. The silence between us was heavier than any argument. The next week, strange things began happening. Ethan stopped answering my calls. My texts went unread. When I finally showed up at his apartment, he looked almost guilty when he opened the door. His eyes darted past me like he was afraid of being seen with me. "What's going on?" I demanded. He hesitated too long. Then he muttered, "Maybe it's better if I don't come to the wedding." It was like being punched in the chest. "Why? What happened? Did she say something to you?" He didn't answer directly. Instead, he whispered, "Some things you don't want to know, man." And then he closed the door in my face. That night I confronted my fiancée. She didn't deny talking to him. In fact, she admitted it. But she insisted it was for my own good. "You don't know him like I do," she said. "He's not who you think he is. He's dangerous for us, for our future." Her words made no sense. Ethan was flawed, sure, loud, reckless, sometimes immature, but had never betrayed me. Not once. Or so I thought. The truth came out 2 days later in the ugliest way possible. I was scrolling through her laptop, looking for a file she had asked me to print when a folder caught my eye. Buried under wedding spreadsheets and vendor receipts was a series of hidden messages, screenshots of texts, late-night calls logged, and photos. Photos of her and him. My stomach turned cold. The pieces clicked into place with horrifying clarity. Her hostility toward Ethan. His sudden distance. The guilt in his eyes. They weren't just hiding something from me, they were hiding each other. I confronted them both. She cried, swore it was a mistake, said it meant nothing. Ethan just stood there, silent, shame written across his face. But the betrayal cut so deep that I couldn't breathe. And now here I am, weeks away from what was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, asking strangers on the internet for advice. Because the question isn't just, AITA for insisting my best friend be at my wedding even though my fiancé doesn't want him there. The real question is, how do you move forward when the two people you trusted most destroyed everything in secret? I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face pressed against his, their bodies tangled in those photos. I kept hearing her voice in my head, insisting she didn't want him at the wedding, and now I finally understood why. The next morning, I told her we needed to talk. She sat across from me, eyes swollen from crying, clutching a tissue like it was her lifeline. "I didn't mean for it to happen," she whispered. "It was before we got engaged. Before you proposed." But the timestamps on the texts and calls didn't lie. Some of them were only a few weeks old. A few were from last night. I laughed bitterly. "So what? You thought you could erase him from my life so no one would ever find out. You wanted me to cut off my best friend so your secret stayed buried." She broke down completely. "I love you. I chose you. It was a mistake, and I swear it's over." Her words felt hollow, like a rehearsed script. I couldn't look at her anymore. I left the apartment and drove aimlessly for hours, my phone buzzing with her desperate texts. Eventually, I found myself parked outside Ethan's building again. This time, I didn't knock. I used the spare key it had since college. He was sitting on the couch when I walked in, head in his hands as if he'd been waiting for me. "You ruined everything," I spat. His eyes shot up, red and bloodshot. "I didn't mean for it to happen either." "Don't you dare say that," I snapped. "You were supposed to be my brother, my family." He tried to explain about the drunken night it started, how he swore it was just once, how it spiraled because she kept reaching out because he couldn't resist. But every word only drove the knife deeper. "You were going to stand by me as best man while you were sneaking around with her. You'd have looked me in the eye on my wedding day and said nothing." He didn't answer. That silence was worse than anything else. Over the next week, I canceled the wedding. Vendors had to be called. Deposits were lost. My parents, who adored her, were heartbroken. Her family stopped answering my calls entirely, and she didn't leave. She kept showing up at my door, begging me to forgive her, to understand that it was just a fling, that I was the one she wanted a life with. One night, she threw her engagement ring at me and screamed, "You're destroying everything we built because of one mistake." "One mistake," I shouted back. "One mistake doesn't stretch over months. One mistake doesn't text you at midnight. One mistake doesn't call you baby when you're supposed to be mine." Her face crumpled, but I didn't let myself soften. The fallout spread like wildfire. Our mutual friends took sides. Some blamed me for being dramatic, saying I should forgive her if I truly loved her. Others cut her off entirely when they learned the truth. As for Ethan, he disappeared. Deactivated his socials, stopped showing up at the gym, even moved out of his apartment. It was like he erased himself from the city, but the betrayal lingered like a poison in my veins. 2 months later, I thought I was finally beginning to heal until I saw them together again. I was at a cafe with my sister when she nudged me sharply. Don't look now, but of course I looked. There they were. My ex-fiancée and my ex-best friend sitting at a corner table, leaning in close, talking like nothing had ever happened. She noticed me first. Her face went pale and she froze. Ethan turned a second later, his jaw tightening when our eyes met. I didn't make a scene. I didn't yell. I just stood up, walked past them, and whispered, "You two deserve each other." My voice was calm, but inside, something shattered all over again. Now, months later, people still ask me if I regret canceling the wedding. If maybe I should have forgiven her, or at least salvaged my friendship with Ethan. But the truth is, betrayal changes you. It hardens something inside you. I wasn't just betrayed by a lover or a friend. I was betrayed by the 2 people I trusted most in the world. And no amount of apologies, tears, or explanations can rewrite the story they wrote behind my back. So, AITA for insisting my best friend be at my wedding even though my fiancé didn't want him there. Maybe? But in the end, I think the better question is, would I have ever discovered the truth if I hadn't?